Howdy everyone. So I'm at my studio and I ended up having about like 3 hours of extra time between some sessions. So I thought I'd just make a silly little video. So I'm going to do a tier list ranking of every microphone I've ever used. And it's probably not actually going to be every microphone I've ever used, but it's going to be, you know, the ones that I've used enough that I can like form an opinion about them. I've used a lot of like just garbage, whatever, throwaway mics. We're not going to include those. It's about 50 microphones, the list that I ended up with, so we should probably get to it. Okay, first. Why do I always sit on the floor for these things? First mic. I don't know if you can see it. First mic is this one. It's the Advanced Audio CM12 SE. It is a clone of the classic AKG C12, and it's made by Advanced Audio. Costs about $1,000. You know, it looks really, really impressive. The thing that I've noticed with this mic is it sounds great if you stay right in front of the capsule, but the second you go a little bit off axis, it gets like really phasey sounding, hollow, scooped weird. So you need a singer that will like stay in front of it. But if that happens, then it has like a nice, you know, warm roll off, while still being like very bright, that like bright C12 sound. Does it sound as good as a real C12? Probably not. Is it a totally good, you know, tube, you know, lead vocal mic? Yeah, sure. It's fine. The only thing is, yeah, if you go off axis, it gets bad, real quick. So, let's say like B tier, just because when you stay on, it sounds really good. By the way, I'm going to be doing this in alphabetical order, and I'll leave timestamps for the different manufacturers so you can hop around and find your favorite microphone if you want to know my thoughts on it. So the next one is the AEA-R84, which is a recreation of a classic ribbon microphone. It's fine. You know, it's very realistic to. It's a passive ribbon mic, so you need just a lot of gain to get it to be like usable, unless you have it on like a really loud source. It's fine. I've used lots of other ribbons that are much cheaper and sound just as good. It's more of like a, you know, visually like really cool. It's kind of a showstopper. There's a certain type of client base who love ribbon microphones, and if they see that you have one of these like old RCA recreation microphones, then they might book with you specifically for that. Is it very usable? No. The use cases are pretty limited in my experience, but if you want that like, you know, classic ribbon sound, and you have the preamps that can drive that thing hard, yeah, it's good. I don't know, C tier. Okay, next, we're into AKG, so we're gonna do AKG C1000S. I actually have that. Okay, here we go. That's what it looks like. Yeah, so it's a pretty good condenser microphone. I don't break it out for that many things, but honestly, the thing that I've used it the most for is just like, if I want a different sound on a guitar cab, I'll put it on there. Maybe if it's like a cab with two speakers, one will be like a 57, and then put this on the other one. Gives you like a different flavor of, just gives you like a different flavor, but it's not really good for vocal mic. It's a little too, like the frequency response is just a little too all over the place for that. But for something like guitar, that's, you know, gonna end up being a bit peaky in places anyway. Yeah, it's good. Kind of limited use case, but it's fine. Let's say, it's gonna go lower. Let's say like D tier. Next up, AKG C414, and this is the XLS version, which apparently is just a little bit like flatter than the whatever the other one that AKG makes. This is the one with like the silver grill and not the gold grill. I have a matched pair of these, and I actually really like these. These are awesome. The thing that I see people use these for a lot is drum overheads. I hate these for drum overheads. For drum overheads, I like something with a very smooth, nice top-end frequency response. These are a bit bright, a bit harsh on drums, cymbals. They just bring out like the worst qualities of drum cymbals, in my opinion. So I don't use these for that. But if I want something that has like a large diaphragm condenser sound, and I want it to have like just a bit more top end pushed through to help like cut through the mix a little bit, then I'll definitely grab these. I actually have them right now set up on this upright piano, matched pair, and I think it's great for that. It gives you just a bit more top end so that the piano cuts through the mix a bit more. Yeah, these are great. I like these. Let's say A tier. Okay, next up is AKG C451. It's a pencil condenser mic. And, you know, it's... well, first I should say that I've used it with the CK1 capsule. It's a type of... yeah, these mics have interchangeable capsules if you want, like, cardioid or omni or whatever. I use the CK1, which is a cardioid capsule. What I've used it for in the past is as like a hi-hat mic. And actually this relates to the next mic we're gonna talk about, which is the AKG C460. But so they're basically the same, but with a major difference, and that is the 451 just has like less body, and it can get a bit harsh, which I never really liked it for the hi-hats. So I'm gonna give the 451 a low C tier. 460, on the other hand, I have a pair of C460s back there on the drum kit, and I have a little adapter so that it can fit the CK1 capsule, and I find that the CK1 capsule on the 460 just has really nice body, does not get harsh when it's right up on cymbals. It's just nice and smooth. It smooths out just the brittle harshness that you can sometimes get with cymbals. I love them, so I have one on my ride cymbal, I have one on my hi-hat. Helps me just kind of balance those things out. Yeah, I love the 460. So I'm gonna give those an A tier because I love those. Next up, AKG Perception 200. These guys are some of the ugliest looking mics I've ever seen. For a long time, I had them in a mic locker and I avoided using them for a long time just because the mics are so ugly. I don't want clients to see them. But once I actually ran out of microphones and I had to grab them, yeah, they're great. They're fine. They're, large diaphragm condenser mics. They really stayed like at the back. They're like, oh, okay, I've run out of all of my other nice large diaphragm condensers. Okay, I guess I'll go for the Perceptions. There's like nothing outstanding about them, but nothing like bad about them either. They're just like boring, neutral, like well-made condenser microphones. So yeah, C tier, mid C tier, just boring. Okay, now into Audio-Technica. How are we doing on time? Good lord, this is going to be a long video. Okay, Audio-Technica, let's start with the 4050. A lot like the Perception 200. It's fine, does its job. When I like go for microphones, I want them to I go for a microphone because it has like certain standout qualities that I'm looking for. And with these like mid-level large diaphragm condensers, they're just fine. There's but there's nothing like outstanding, no like outstanding quality to them that I'm drawn to. So yeah, you can put them up and like do a little EQing in post and get like totally usable stuff, but it doesn't like inspire me. It doesn't like, I never have a situation where I have like a specific thing I need to record and I go, oh, you know, it would sound really cool on that. The Audio-Technica 4050s. No, it's a microphone, and if you need a large diaphragm condenser, yep, there you go. So, mid-C. Okay, next, Audio-Technica 4060. This is in their same line, but this is a tube. It's a powered tube microphone. In terms of all the tube microphones I've ever used, this one is like the most sanitary, kind of boring. Honestly, I don't even like associate it with having like tube qualities. It feels like it is just another like really level, clean condenser microphone, and it just happens to have a tube in it. Usually for tube microphones, I'm looking for like, you know, more like qualities of warmth, and the mic just never really did it for me, so I didn't reach for it much back when it was in my mic locker. But it's a fine good microphone. I've used it on some lead vocals sometimes, and it gets like good, you know, good plain Jane results. So I'm gonna say like low B, yeah. Oh, one more thing about these Audio-Technica microphones is they have like the worst mic shock mounts that I've ever experienced in my life. They have this horrible like rubber band thing that you have to like finagle around the mic, and the rubber bands always get like twisted, and it's a mess. Whoever designed like the Audio-Technica like shock mounts for these microphones is like, I despise you. Like, why did you do this? Yeah, so just know that if you're getting one of these mics, maybe look into like third-party mic shock mounts. Okay, this Audio-Technica 5040. This is an exceptional microphone. This is really good. So it has like a really cool, if you ever get your hands on one, like take your phone flashlight and like shine it so you can see the capsule inside. It's 4 rectangular capsules, all like side by side. And it just, of any mic I've ever used in my life, it is just the most crisp, clean, like ultra crisp, realistic, high end. So great for like modern pop vocals where you can just jam this thing crazy hard into a compressor and there is not a single high-end frequency that's gonna like start to poke out or anything. It's just rock solid up there, and man, it's one of those mics where, you know, you put it in front of something, you listen back, and it just sounds like the thing is in front of you. It's just that like crisp, clear. I love this microphone so much. I really should go and get another one at some point. I think they're kind of pricey, maybe a few thousand, but yeah, it's like 3,000. I think that's worth it. It's a great microphone. Dang, am I gonna go S tier? I think it's an S tier microphone. It's a great mic, yeah. Okay, Audio-Technica AT822. This is one of those weird, like, 2 capsules in one sort of mics. It's like an XY stereo microphone. It's kind of fun. It's a little trashy, so I like to use it, you know, if I don't want to like get out a whole big like rig to do a nice XY pair of some like really nice pencil condensers or something. It's a fine option where you just get one mic stand, set it down, you know, demo out some acoustic guitar. Not even demo, if you just want something that's like a little bit trashy, a little lo-fi, it's great. Yeah, stick it in front of it, record it. It's good. I'll give it a C. Yeah, C tier. Okay, next up, Audio-Technica ATM61HE. It is a hypercardioid dynamic handheld microphone. These things are also in the category of being very, very ugly looking. They're like this nasty gray with like a red band around them. You just feel like you're not getting the best out of them when you're holding them. But I've actually found that they're really, really good at being like the top, like a top tom mic. And they get like really, really good rejection because they're hypercardioid. They're not quite as good on toms as like 421s, but they're really, really solid on toms. So I like them a lot, and I think they're only like $200 a piece or something, so pretty affordable. Let's do like a low B tier. Yep. Okay, Audix D4. This is another microphone that's like, it's good on toms. It's good on toms. Is it a 421? No. It's also fine for like sticking in front of a guitar cab, but I'd still rather use like a 409 or like a 57 or something. So it's just kind of fine. Like I've had one in my collection for years and years and years now, and it honestly pretty much never comes out just because in terms of like a dynamic mic, it's just kind of boring. So yeah, I'm gonna give it like a D. I should probably sell the one I have. Okay, next, Audix M1250B. This is a choir mic. It goes on the end of like a big old gooseneck. It's just great for picking up choir. Yeah, it's great. I have used it for mostly choir recordings. I've done a little bit of like piano stuff with it. I'd say that it's really great as like a live microphone, but I mean it wasn't really built for studio use. Yeah, I guess this whole ranking is gonna be like studio centric. So in that case, I'm gonna give it like a D because I don't think I'd ever go for it in a studio setting. But it's a fine microphone. It's fine. This one, I didn't get to use this one much, but for a while on rental, had a Blue Bottle Rocket Stage 1. Yeah, most people associate Blue with making like the little Blue Yeti microphones. They actually started out making really, really high-end microphones. This is one of their high-end microphones, the Blue Bottle Rocket. It's meant to emulate like an old Neumann M7 capsule, which I also used a lot. Honestly, the main thing I used this mic for was I did like a shootout with the M7 capsules that I had at the time, and it wasn't as good. It was like close, but it was definitely missing some of that like magic that the M7s have, like a really good M7. But still like a great mic. I just, if I had, I don't even know how much they cost. If I had a few thousand laying around, there's so many other microphones I would go for first. So I think it's gonna get like a C tier. Next up, Cascade Fathead. This is a bang for your buck ribbon microphone. I love this ribbon microphone. It has pretty good output, so you don't have to drive it like extremely hard on the gain. Amazing for like brass. I use it a ton as the side and a mid-side pair for a drum room, and it is awesome, rock solid. Love the Cascade Fathead. If you're looking for ribbon microphones and you don't want to go out and spend like way too much on like Royers or something, yeah, Cascade Fathead for being like, I don't know, $200-300 or something. It's awesome. Great microphone. A tier. Yep. Okay, next, Earthworks QTC50, the classic Earthworks microphone. I used a pair of them to record a like large German piano a while back, a Bluthner, massive, expensive German piano. And I had never like recorded like a concert grand piano in such a where the piano was going to be like the centerpiece of the composition. So I brought 3 different microphone pairs and put them all up just because I was like, hey, you know, at least one of these is going to turn out being like a fantastic recording. So I tried 3 different things. I tried like a pair of large diaphragm condensers, kind of XY over top of the piano. I did a spaced pair of KM84 Neumanns, and I also then did the Earthworks, and the trick that I was told by the person playing the piano is that you just put them up by the hammers, like kind of on the far side from each other. And man, those things won out. I'm usually not that big into Earthworks microphones because I think they're kind of like sterile and just too flat. But in this particular case, it was like a classical piece. They worked awesome. They were great. I can see why people get really into Earthworks. Not personally for me, but I think they're fantastic microphones. So I'll do like a high B tier. Yeah. Next, Earthworks SR25 Gen 2. I probably shouldn't give too much opinion about this because I've only owned them for a short time and I've not recorded too much stuff using it, so I haven't like fully developed an opinion. But they're good. They're meant for like cymbals, like drum cymbals, and they do a good job of that. There's a bit of times where, you know, they get a bit harsh, but that's just because the cymbals themselves are actually harsh and they're just capturing that because that's what they do. I personally prefer microphones that help like smooth out that like top harshness a little bit. But yeah, the Earthworks will just, you know, give you what you put into them. So if you like that, they're good. Yeah, still forming an opinion on them. So let's just put it in like B tier, like low B or something. I don't know. Okay, next, ElectroVoice RE20. This is a microphone. I know a lot of people use it for podcasting. In terms of like the 2 main popular podcast mics between SM7B and the RE20, I do prefer the RE20. Yeah, I prefer the RE20, but I kind of don't like either of the main podcast mics. The thing that I find the RE20 to be really good for is, the other thing people use it for is like as a kick thing, like a jazz, like kick drum mic. I don't really do that, but I've heard like great results. When people have like sent me tracks that they've recorded. It's fine, but not my style. What I really like it for is on bass cabinets. If I have a bass coming in, bass cab, I just stick an RE20, I take direct, I take RE20, and it gets awesome results. Great mic specifically just for that. Is it very versatile? No. I guess I'll give it like a, you know, it does its job, and I guess my philosophy in general is like I prefer microphones where they do one thing really, really well. Like mics that just generally do a lot of stuff, to me, just tend to not do any one thing incredibly well. So I do appreciate that the RE20 has a thing in my mind that it does really, really well because I have confidence in like using it in that application. So I'll give it like a high B, because, yeah, I guess I'd be open to like finding some bass cab mic that's better, but it does its job. It does its job like quite well. Yeah. Next, the Grinelli G5790. It is the SM57 where they put a right angle hook in it, and that is so that you can fit it really, really tight under a hi-hat and put it on a snare drum without like the XLR cable like poking the hi-hat. I think it's awesome. I love that someone was able to make a whole company out of just putting a right angle bend in a 57. It's hilarious. You know what? I'm gonna look up how much it costs because, oh yeah, for like $170 to like be able to get really tight in like a hi-hat that's like way too close to the snare. Awesome. I love that somebody has a company that does this. It's awesome. Yeah, A tier. Great mic. Okay, next up, the MXL 770. This is the first condenser mic I ever bought. The first two mics I ever bought was an SM58 with an on-off switch and the MXL 770. And, you know, I owe a lot to this mic because you know, owning those two microphones really taught me like the importance of choosing like the right microphone for the right application before I even, you know, way before I decided to even like become a pro engineer. You know, and it's only $50. That's really affordable. I really appreciate that. So I value it in that way. Would I ever use it these days? No. It doesn't sound good. It sounds like way too bright, way too harsh. It does not like faithfully recreate what you are putting it in front of. And honestly, I appreciate a good garbage mic where you can just stick it through and get like a sound out of it. This does all of this sounds shitty in a bad way. That's a weird thing to say, but I hope you understand that. Like, it doesn't even do like a cool kind of shitty. It just sounds bad. So, you know, I appreciate the fact that there's like a really cheap condenser mic out there, large condenser microphone, and I'm sure great stuff has been made using this mic. I would not buy this. Yeah, we're just gonna give it, yeah, F tier. Next, MXL 840. These are the small diaphragm condenser equivalents of, you know, the mic that we just talked about. Yeah, same thoughts on it. They just, I appreciate that there's microphones that are this cheap, but they're not good. Yeah, so F tier. Okay, our final MXL R144L. These are cheap ribbon microphones, and I'm shocked that they can make ribbon microphones this cheap. Which, yeah, again, I appreciate. The thing that I find is you have to put them on a really loud source, because even if you have a great preamp, if you crank the gain on these things, they just bring up a ton of noise. So you want to keep the gain low by putting them on like really loud things. I've tried it as being drum overheads. I don't really like ribbons as drum overheads, because you just like lose too much of like the bite of the cymbals. And then I tried them as like room mics, and I've gotten some like decent results for them being room mics, but it's like a certain sound that you have to know that you want. They're fine, you know. I'm again amazed at how cheap they are for being ribbon microphones, but I think that I'd much rather go with like a Cascade Fathead if I wanted like a cheapish ribbon. So these guys, let's do like a low. Let's give them D tier. Okay, now there's this company that you may have heard of. It's, I think, started in Germany. It's called Neumann. So first up, the Neumann CMV563 with the M7 capsule. This was my lead vocal main workhorse for a long time. Man, I have made a lot of records with this microphone. Called it the Lollipop because of the way the M7 capsule looks. Yeah, people love this thing. I love this thing. I do have some thoughts on it, though. The main thing is for, like, modern style vocals, you do need to, like, boost the top end once you record with this thing. But the deal is, like, it takes top-end boosts, like EQ boosts, really well. You don't, like, EQ up, like, a high shelf and bring up, like, a bunch of nasty garbage. It still sounds really good when you do that. if you want like a bit warmer, a bit rolled off, like style vocals, just right out the bat, it is awesome. Awesome. Sounds awesome. Yeah, and I used it for all different types of genres for a long time. Love this microphone so much. And the thing that a lot of people don't know with these old Neumann microphones that were like old wartime microphones, like made in Germany during war. So they basically what I've been told is that they were made using. Is that some of these microphones were made using like rationed materials, like better materials. So the ones that were like made for military purposes were able to access rationed materials, better materials, so they're better built microphones. And the Neumann mics from this era that were made using the better materials have a small triangle, a yellow triangle with a 1 on it. Was apparently the symbol for these better microphones. And so both the CMV 563 and the M7 capsule were both these better produced versions. Sounded incredible. Love this mic so much. Yeah, the only thing is, if you're doing like modern style vocals, you do need to boost the top end. But I think these days there's a few other microphones I would reach for first. Do I want to give it an S? Yeah, let's give it an S. Yep, S tier. Okay, next up, Neumann KM84. These are small diaphragm pencil condenser microphones. They sound awesome. Drum overheads, they're like some of my favorite ever. They do kind of get a little crunchy when the drums get super loud in like a sort of distinct way. It's so subtle, but yeah, the only way I can describe it is that like for these really old original production line versions, what I found is that if you smack the drums super hard, these mics just start to get a little bit crunchy on the top end, which can be very cool, but it is like a distinct sort of sound. But man, great microphones. I use them for drum overheads all the time, or stick them in a pair, record like acoustic guitar. I've done like gang vocals with it. You have your drum overheads already set up, time to do gang vocals. You just kind of aim them out into the room and record. Beautiful, sounds perfect. The only really big downside is that they have like weird proprietary cables, like connectors that they plug into, and apparently the cables are like really expensive and rare. I have had experiences before where I go to like a remote thing and I bring the microphones and I realize like, oh shoot, I forgot to bring the weird little cables because XLRs can't plug right into them. That's on me, obviously, but yeah, just like a little quirk of these microphones, like the old original ones. Yeah, I'm gonna give them like a high A tier. Yeah, they're great. Okay, next, the Neumann KMS104. This is Neumann's handheld microphone. And what can I say? It's great. It's great. It has really good clarity for being like a stage handheld microphone. What I have used it for before is sometimes, especially with like more like hardcore genres, the singer is better, like they want to move their body a lot. They like having like a handheld microphone. This is a great option to that. I've also, seen people do like straight up a 58, or they'll make them hold like an SM7B. That works. But if you want just like really crisp, clear, high end that like an SM7 and like a 58 just don't quite get you because they're dynamics, then this is a great microphone. The only downside to it is that it doesn't have like really great innate plosive rejection. Can get a little poppy if you're like right on it. Yeah, so just for that reason, I'm gonna give it like a B, but if you use it in the right way, it can be a great option for like that specific application of like someone standing, singing with it. Just make sure they don't go like right up on it. Okay, next, Neumann M50s. I only had the pleasure of using these once, but I did work with the mics a lot, and so I feel like I can talk about the specific use case where I did it. I flew down to Burbank to do an orchestral recording, and the lead engineer was Frank Wolf, who, if you look him up, he's done just a ton of big name orchestral recordings for like big name movies. Like, yeah, one of the big names down there for doing orchestral recordings. And he owned 3 of these M50s, and the deal with the M50 is, if you ever heard of the deck-a-tree recording style, recording technique, it's basically 3 microphones in a triangle, and then you raise them up above the conductor's head, and basically it gives like a really, really good representation of what the orchestra conductor is hearing. So it gives you like a really well-balanced, great recording of the orchestra. And when this deck-a-tree recording technique was originally being made, they used M50, Neumann M50 microphones for this technique. And so Frank had a bunch of M50s and used it to record this project. And wow, when I took it home and I started mixing it, it just blew my mind of like, you put M50s in a deck-a-tree, fly them up above the conductor's head, and it just sounds perfectly like what you have always heard great orchestral recordings like sounding like. It just sounds like a movie right off the bat. Incredible microphones. Man, I still have all those Pro Tool sessions. It would be fun at some point to do like a video like going through like a Pro Tool session that was given to you from like a major string stage down in Hollywood, and like, because the other cool thing that happened that session is that they had I think Al Schmidt's reverb that he used. Al Schmidt's reverb unit with his preset was used on that. So I have a print of that reverb from that unit from that session. And yeah, maybe I'll do a video at some point just going through all that. Very cool stuff. Neumann M50s, man, if you can afford them and you're doing string dates, S tier. Great mic. Okay, next. A mic that I actually just kind of got into using, Neumann TLM 102. This mic shocked me. I was in the market for buying something like this, and I was, looking at TLM 102, 103. I think they make like a 105, or I don't know, 107 or something, and I was kind of looking at that range of microphones. And I had an artist come in who had their own TLM 102, and man, when I put it up and they started singing into it, blew my mind. Amazing sounding microphone for the price and for the size. It's a tiny little thing. In fact, here, let me go grab it. Yeah, here, look at this thing. Tiny, tiny little guy. It's crazy that they can fit so much mic in this little package. Really, really nice top end, really smooth top end. You're not getting any harsh frequencies that are sticking out. Good body, good low end body, and something that I'm really impressed by is its off-axis frequency response. If you're like not right on the middle of the microphone, it still stays really, it has a really, really nice frequency response even as you start to go to the edges. For that reason, great. I use it for vocals a ton. It takes a lot of voices really, really well. It has like nice top end. It has like a good amount of like bright top end without ever getting harsh, which is great for vocals if you're like smashing them with a compressor or like doing a bunch of EQ to it. Takes that all very well. And also it's great. It's the other half of my MS pair that I do for drums. As the center mic, it just works super well. It's great. Yeah, the only thing is, I feel like every single time I use it, I do have to do like a bit of EQing to make it like completely fit what I want. But it's fine. It's like, to me, it always feels pretty obvious what needs to be done, and I can accomplish it. But it's not like a right out of the box perfect sounding mic. But it's pretty darn close to it. It blew me away for being like only $1,000 or something. And then I like looked up comparisons between it and the 103, and I know the 103 is more expensive. I think the 102 is the better microphone. That might be controversial, but yeah, if you're in the market, save your money, get a 102, because I think it's a better microphone. It's great. Blew me away for only being like $1,000. Let's give it like an A. It's like a high A. It's almost an S, yeah. Okay, next up, Neumann U87. Wow, this is a classic mic. What are my thoughts on the 87? This might be a bit controversial too. I'm not the biggest fan of the U87. It is very, very good at what it does, but it's a bit bright for what I would want. But it's like a, it's like a modern sound, but it's a bit overly bright. I think the main appeal of a U87 is that it's like a studio staple. So a lot of recording labels, like record labels or publishing companies, they just want you to have like a well-established microphone where if they send a client to record at your studio and you send the files back to this like label, they're going to know exactly what they're getting and like how to treat it, and they can even have like a pre-set up signal chain to like process this specific microphone. So it's really, really useful in that way, but I don't think it is like the best microphone in the world for even like voiceovers or like singing vocals. It's just so ubiquitous that it's, yeah, I think that you'll get a lot of bookings just because you have a U87. But a lot of stuff that I do nowadays isn't like podcasts or audiobooks or stuff like that. It is like music, like vocal singing music stuff. And the U87, not my first choice. Yeah, I think it's a great mic. And also, if you use the 87 for all your stuff and you love it, good for you. I can see why it's a great modern, like bright vocal mic. For me, I'm gonna give it like a high B tier, and that might be controversial. Next up, Neumann UM57. Yeah, this is a little, actually quite small condenser microphone, but it's a large diaphragm condenser microphone. I use this for vocals a decent amount. It's fine. It's like a good, really solid condenser microphone. It has a bit of that like old vintage Neumann magic that is much more present, in my opinion, in the CMV 563 with the M7 capsule that I talked about earlier. But the 57, it has like what happens when you do vocal mics on these old vintage Neumanns is that you'll get like a very, very great clear center vocal, but then you almost get like this kind of halo around it. Like it feels like a very large, wide mono. And yeah, the M7 capsule really, really gives you that. The U87 that I just talked about, not really, not so much. The UM57 gives you a little bit of that. But these days, I think there's a lot of other microphones I would reach for first, but it's rock solid. If this is like your flagship microphone, it's great. The one thing about the one that I had is it has like an external power supply because it's, tube microphone. And we nicknamed that power supply Sparky because it would sometimes randomly electrocute you and no one could figure out why. So that was fun. That was probably very dangerous. Yeah, so for the UM57 and for the Sparky case that would electrocute you, I'm giving it A, like a low A. Yeah. Okay, next up, Pinnacle Fat Top. As far as I can understand from like just a little bit of research, sorry if I get this wrong, basically this is the Cascade Fathead. It's like a lot of even the same parts, and it's like the same family that runs the company. Apparently they just did a company rebrand for like not really any reason that I can tell. So yeah, Pinnacle Fat Top is basically a Cascade Fathead, so yeah, I'm just gonna give it same ranking. Okay, next up, oh, this is gonna be a fun one. It's the RFT CM7151. This microphone is a beast. Oh my god, it's large. Yeah, it's a huge microphone, and it also actually takes an M7 capsule on top, the Neumann M7 capsule. I think when it was originally produced, it was like part of like a Telefunken, whatever sort of thing. And so I'm sure in like full working order, it sounds awesome. And I know a lot of people, I've seen these go for crazy prices, people like very well sought out. The example that I had was probably broken in some way because it would get like really distorted and crunchy if you put any decent amount of volume into it. So I probably can't give like a great opinion, but it is like a beast of a microphone. I think, yeah, I would much rather just use like a nice CMV 563 with the M7 capsule, and I think that this like giant microphone, you get it more for like the spectacle of it, because you might get bookings because you have this like crazy old cool microphone. I wish I had one that was in working order. For me, yeah, it's fun to like show off on tours, but I wouldn't use it for like recording anything. Kind of makes, yeah, I wouldn't reach for it much. Just because the example that I had was probably broken in some way. So for me, D tier, yeah. Okay, Rode M5. This is Rode's like really cheap pencil condenser microphone. And this is kind of, how do I put this? My studio's in an area that has apparently like an unusual amount of like radio frequencies and stuff. Anytime I have had like a production company come out and do like frequency scans for like wireless microphones, every time they're just like, this is like the craziest amount of frequencies we've ever seen in an area. That's all to say that the Rode M5s that I have, if you have to give them any decent amount of gain to get them to a good level, you start getting like a lot of crazy radio frequencies getting picked up on these microphones. And I have a pair of them, and it happens just the same in both of them, so I don't think it's a defect. That kind of makes these microphones unusable to me. So I'm gonna put it definitely in like F garbage tier. Sorry. Hey, on the topic of a better Rode microphone, actually the microphone that I'm using to record this right now, it's the Rode NTG3, which is a shotgun microphone. I think it is one of their more affordable shotguns, because they can get crazy expensive. And it's awesome. I love this thing. Yeah, great for voiceover recording. You know, just does what a shotgun mic should do, which, you know, is just give you like a really, really good distant recording of someone's dialogue. And if you get really close to it, it has an amazing proximity effect. It gets really deep and punchy. But yeah, for the use case of like doing, you know, just off camera, pointing at someone's voice while they're talking, awesome, amazing. A tier, yeah, love it. Okay, into some into some different microphones. We have the Samson Q Kick. This is just like, you know, in that same category of like MXL, where if you don't really have any money, any budget to spend on microphones, you can just get like a little briefcase full of drum mics to mic up a kit. This is the kick drum for it. It definitely gets like crunchy in an unpleasant way. Not a great mic, a little bit clicky. Maybe not so much crunchy, but a little bit, yeah, clicky when used on a kick drum, which is what you use these things for. It's not great, not good. F tier, yep. And then, yeah, not gonna linger on this too long, but Samson Q Tom, same case. It's just not good. Yeah, so it's F tier. SE Electronics SE8. This is what I have on my drum overheads back here. Man, I love these mics. I'm very impressed with what SE Electronics has been putting out. I've heard really great things about it, and then I bought these microphones because I used to have the pair of Neumann Cam 84s, and I didn't want to buy a new pair of like Neumann Cam 184s, I think they're called now. So I wanted something that was just like a bit more budget friendly. And so I found these SE Electronics SE8s. I listened to like mic shootouts and stuff, and they do like 99% of what I want from drum overhead mics. Like really close to what the KM 84s were giving me. Yeah, I'd describe it as like a, you know, 98, 99% of a Neumann Cam 84. Fantastic. They really tame down like the harshness of some cymbals. Yeah, they're just great workhorse microphones. I love them a lot. Great price for what they are. I'm gonna give them like a high A tier. Yeah. Okay, next, the Sennheiser E609. Yeah, the 609 is, you know, kind of the modern version of the MD409, but it's like a good alternate to the SM57. And, you know, all the same stuff that you can do with a 57, you can do with the E609. It just gives you like a different flavor. So a way that I kind of like to use it in that way is like if I have a guitar cab with like two speakers, I can put, you know, a 57 on one of the speakers, E609 on the other speaker, pan them hard left, right, and you just get like a wide guitar sound because there's just enough variety between the two frequency responses, but they both still sound like a great electric guitar sound. Yeah, also use it for like snare bottom because you can get like really darn close. Yeah, you can get really close to the snares, so you know you're not picking up a lot of other drum stuff that's happening. Great for like gating the snares. Yeah, awesome microphone, great for the price. I'd say, yeah, like a solid A, like a low A. Yeah, it's good. Okay, speaking of which, Sennheiser MD409. This is the like original version of the like Sennheiser rectangle on a stick sort of microphone. These are, man, when I looked up the prices of these nowadays, shocked me. They're going for a lot. And I don't fully understand that because I think they do sound different from a E609, but in my head they're, you know, doing the same job. They have like the same qualities where it's, you know, a 57 with different flavoring. In my experience, when I've used them, I use them in the exact same way as the new E609s, and they work the same. The price is pretty hard to justify, so I'm gonna put it in like a B tier, because it works, it's good. Okay, Sennheiser MD421. Man, I hate whoever came up with this little mic mount. I don't know if they still do it, because the 421s that I was using were older, but they had this stupid clip, and it had like this little metal like pin in it to like hold it or something. And man, I like actually cut my hand like trying to finagle these things. Like a few times I like cut my fingers on like sharp bits down there. Drove me crazy. They're like way too large for what they're doing. They're cumbersome. They sound awesome on toms. They sound great on toms. I've used them on tom tops. I've used them on tom bottoms. Yeah, the price is a little bit much, but like it's one of those things where you put them on toms and the toms sound exactly like you want toms to sound like, and that's really worth a lot. That's very valuable. But man, the like clip, the stupid little clip system that they have, I don't get it. Yeah, whoever designed that, bad on you. But, you know, you have to give it to them. They sound awesome. They sound like toms should, for that reason. Oh, the other thing that's really nice about them, you know, there's that little like bar, like plastic bar that's in front of it. That is actually made as like a pop filter for vocals. So if you're in a pinch, if you're just doing like scratch vocal or something, it's great as like a little vocal mic in that way. Overall, yeah, because they like serve the express purpose of being like great tom mics, I'm gonna give it like a high B tier, like a high B. But there's a few other microphones that do the same job as them and do it almost as well. So yeah. Okay, into Shure, Shure Beta 52A. Yeah, it's the B52. Great kick drum mic. I didn't, you know, in terms of like the classic kick drum mics, you have like the RE20, you have the Beta 52, you have the AKG D112. Yeah, I think the Beta 52, it has like a unique flavor to it, but I find that when mixed, when put in the mix with the rest of drum microphones, it just sounds exactly like it fits so well. The low end is so tight, so rock solid. If you listen to it on its own, like the top end sounds definitely a bit strange, like when the mic is soloed, but again, like I find that when put in a mix, yeah, when it's mixed with other drum microphones, it just gives you exactly what you want out of a kick drum sound. For that reason, I love it. I think that sometime soon I'm gonna like try out some other kick drum mics, because sometimes you do just want like a bit more like crisp clarity on like the impact of the beater, and the Beta 52 gives you something that's a bit more boxy, but like it works for a lot of things. But some genres, I think I want just a little bit more of like that top end. But for what I use it for, like I know exactly what I'm getting when I put a Beta 52 on my kick, and I love that. And so for that reason, I'm gonna give it like a high B tier. Okay, Shure SM57. Yeah, this mic gets an A. It's an A. We all know it. We all love it. Incredible on guitar cabs. It's like the best thing ever for guitar cabs. Can't beat it. Unless you're doing something, you know, you're trying to achieve some sort of really crazy sound. For snare, I've wrestled with it as being like a snare top, but I found more and more that, again, like the kick drum mic, you know, soloed, it sounds a bit funky sometimes on some snares, but if you just put it, you know, blend it well with the rest of the drum microphones, yeah, turns out putting a 57 on a snare top gives you exactly the snare sound that you've heard a million times in a bunch of different records. Yeah, sometimes you just don't want to overthink it. 57's awesome. We all love them. Still cost just like $100. The price is like never changed. It's great. Yeah, so A tier. And then Shure SM58. This is basically a 57 with a grill on it. I do have to say, I think that the 57 does not work as a vocal mic, and unfortunately because of that, I think that the 58, I know it's like the most iconic looking microphone. I don't like it. I don't like a 58. I know it's everywhere. It's in like every live venue, but it's lacking top end. It's the frequency response only works for certain vocalists. I usually find that it's a bit too muddy. It's a bit too boxy. For a studio application, I don't like it. For live, hey, it's great. It rejects the PAs and the wedges. It won't feedback as quickly. For studio, I like almost never find a use case for a 58. There's a lot of other microphones that I'm gonna reach for first for a variety of applications. So 58, sorry, I gotta put you in like low C tier. Okay, Shure SM7B, again, just basically a 57 in different packaging, and it's transformerless, so it needs a lot more gain to get it up there. Usually put it with like a cloud lifter or something. I'm not the biggest fan of the SM7B, and I guess that goes along with my thoughts of like the 58. I know a lot of people use it for like podcasty sort of stuff. A lot of people will do like a handheld SM7B for like more hardcore music or something. I don't like it. It's not for me. There's a lot of other microphones I'd rather go to. The one use case that I found for an SM7B sounding awesome, I don't know why I did this. I just had like too much time on my hands one day a few years ago, but I just spent a day like doing a mic shootout of every like possible microphone I could get my hands on, all just being a snare bottom mic. Yeah, I had too much time on my hands. But, you know, it went up against, like, 409s, it went up against 57s, it went up even against, like, the Neumann UM57, and actually in, like, a blind A-B comparison, the SM7B came out on top as the best snare bottom mic. Then I tried to integrate that into my actual drum recordings, and it turned out not to work because there's, like, an unremovable grill that like sticks out a few inches in front of the actual capsule in front of the microphone. So it turns out you can't like get the mic close enough to like have to not be picking up like a bunch of other stuff, like hi-hat and kick drum and yada yada. But if there's ever a scenario where I'm recording like just a snare drum by itself, yeah, an SM7B would be awesome. It beat out a bunch of other microphones. And then also it's just like a massive microphone, so it's really hard to like get in there in a drum kit. Yeah, so I'm not the biggest fan of an SM7B, maybe controversial, but I'm gonna give it like a mid-C tier, yeah. Okay, and God, this is gonna be a long video, but I guess that's fine. The very final microphone that I'm going to rank here is the Warm Audio WA8000, which is their clone of the Sony, I think it's the C800 or G800 or whatever. It's like a $14,000 microphone, but Warm Audio makes a clone of it for probably about $1,000. I think that it basically it comes down to like it shares a lot of qualities with other clone microphones that I've tried and used, and that is that the clone microphone sounds really, really fantastic, really close to the original, if you are like physically in the perfect position related to the microphone, like you're, you know, the correct number of inches away, dead center of the capsule, right in front of it. And if you aren't in the perfect conditions, it starts to fall apart a little bit. And then also the Warm Audio, it's missing like a bit of the magic that I imagine the Sony has. I've heard some recordings from the Sony 800. The warm audio is like good, it's serviceable, it gives you sort of the same EQ profile, but it just, like, when I did recordings with that microphone, it just didn't quite have like the magic. So it's a really solid microphone. I'd give it like a really high B tier, maybe low A tier, just because it's like $1,000, and if you want fantastic vocal recordings and you're willing to like stay right in front of it, it's great. But yeah, modern, bright, but not like harsh sound, but just not quite like over the edge of like that really magical thing that you want for your like lead center vocal. So for that reason, I'll give it like a really high B tier. Yeah. And that's all my thoughts on every microphone I've like significantly used in my life. Thanks for watching.